What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the channel. We finally won a close football game and finally weren't the team making the most mistakes, self-inflicted mistakes. Today, that was the Los Angeles Chargers. The Packers walk away with a Week 11 win, heading to 4-6, 23-20. We have a lot to talk about in today's video, breaking down this Packers win in Week 11. A lot on the offense, man. I was super impressed with some of these players on the offense, and then also some still issues on the defense, but they did make some stops. But man, this Chargers team, it was such a confusing game coming into this, wondering how this game is going to go after seeing them put up 38 points, still lose against the Lions, but put up 38 points. This Chargers team, it's just a confusing one to watch, and now you see why. There's just so many self-inflicted mistakes, and you know, without those mistakes, the Chargers win this football game. There's a lot of them that they made where the Packers got really lucky, where the Chargers should have scored multiple times and ended up with the field goal or not even the ball after, Eckler fumbled the ball after slipping on the field. So let's dive down into my instant thoughts and reactions on this Week 11 game. And also, if you are a new viewer here and want more Packers news analysis and updates every single day, definitely go down and click that subscribe button. All right, so let's dive into it. First, I want to start with some of the injuries. So although the Packers won this game, there's a lot of injuries that happened in this game. Aaron Jones went out with a apparent pretty serious left knee injury. I guess we'll get an update on that maybe later today or tomorrow. It didn't look good. He was tearing up on the sideline. He got carted into the locker room. Emmanuel Wilson then got hurt and got carted. It seemed like a shoulder injury. So the Packers are down to just A.J. Dillon. So if that remains the same and Aaron Jones and Emmanuel Wilson are both out for an extended period of time, the Packers are definitely going to have to go out and sign a couple running backs to back up A.J. Dillon. And even A.J. Dillon had a rough day today, 14 of 29, 2.1 average. Again, the Packers running offense just really not doing much. And it all starts with the interior offensive line. Again, there's multiple times where linemen are getting walked back into the backfield and these running backs have nowhere to go. And I'm talking to you, John Runyon. This happens yet again multiple times. And I still don't understand why we don't have Sean Rhyan out there at right guard. It's just the definition of insanity, man. Matt LaFleur just doing the same thing, walking the same guys out there. He did it with Royce Newman and expecting a different result when you saw a very nice, handful of plays from Sean Rhyan, that first drive, especially the 7 snaps, where he looked very promising. I mean, he held his own against Aaron Donald multiple times, and he's a mauler type of guard, and that's exactly what the Packers are missing on the interior of their offensive line in regards to their running game. So I really wish they would make that switch. In terms of the other offensive line, there was some issues today. Jordan Love got sacked three times. Rasheed Walker was starting at left tackle. I think he allowed a sack. Elton Jenkins was at left guard, obviously. Josh Myers at center, and Zach Tom right tackle with John Runyon in it there right guard. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, Jordan Love is running for his life, but it wasn't great. And then obviously the run blocking was pretty bad, but that's pretty usual for the Packers at this point. But Jordan Love finished 27 of 40 for 322 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 108.5 quarterback rating. I think this was the best game by Jordan Love this season. And it looks like he's progressing every week now since 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, had a pretty good game. Last week was even better. And I think this week was his best one of the season. When you look at Jordan Love and what his issues are, a lot of them are his inconsistency in terms of accuracy. And that wasn't on front stage as much today. Yes, he missed Luke Musgrave on a wheel route that probably would have went for a big play. But mostly everything else, he was on target. He was firing the ball correctly. He had a nice couple touch passes, one to Christian Watson in the left corner, another one to Romeo Doubs in the left corner. Jordan Love was throwing very efficiently today, and that shows. I mean, 322 yards. Yes, the Chargers give up the most passing yards, over 300 a game, and they did here again today. But this is the first time a Packers quarterback threw for over 300 yards since December of 2021, nearly 2 years ago by Aaron Rodgers. So really nice to see that streak finally come to an end and a Packers quarterback, Jordan Love, throw for over 300 yards. I thought he had an excellent day today. There's a lot of Jordan Love hate going around recently, and honestly, I've been very impressed with him the last 3 weeks. He definitely has his mistakes here and there, but today I thought he played exceptionally well. As for the Packers running stats, Jayden Reed, 3 carries, 46 yards. My man, Jayden Reed, with an amazing performance today. He had a touchdown on the ground. Like I said, there's 3 carries, 46 yards, and he also had 4 receptions for 46 yards in the air. The Packers were utilizing Jayden Reed and making him a focal point of this offense, motioning him almost every play, using him on end arounds, on jet touch passes. Really liked what they were doing with Jayden Reed today. He's already becoming a very nice slot receiver in the NFL, and he's still a rookie. I was talking about this all off season about how he's going to be a premier slot receiver for the Packers offense, and they can use him in a multitude of ways, out of the backfield as a motion man, and that's exactly what happened today, and it worked exceptionally well against this Chargers defense. In terms of the other running stats, as I said, the Packers didn't have a good day on the ground outside of Jayden Reed, which weren't traditional runs. A.J. Dillon, 14 carries for 29 yards, 2.1 average, not a good day there. Aaron Jones, 4 for 14, 3.5 average before going out with his injury. Emmanuel Wilson was running pretty well, 3 carries for 12 yards, but then he went out with injury. Watson also had a carry for a yard, and Jordan Love had 3 carries for 0 yards. So the Packers ran 28 times for 102 yards, a measly 3.6 average. Now moving to receiving on this Packers offense, and again, these rookies stepping up. Tay Wicks, another rookie receiver that I have been raving about this whole season, and how he's going to continue to get more snaps, and why, and because he keeps getting open, and he keeps making plays on the football. Tay Wicks, 3 catches for 91 yards, a long of 35. It is an awesome play on that long of 35, catching the ball, breaking a tackle, getting upfield. Romeo Doubs with an awesome day, 5 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. Just an awesome catch in the end zone, super strong hands, pulling that ball down and away from the defender. Romeo Doubs had a really nice day. Jayden Reed, we already talked about, 4 receptions, 46 yards. Tucker Kraft, 2 for 32. Almost had that awesome tightrope touchdown up the sideline, but then was ruled out of bounds. Nice to see Tucker Kraft starting to get used in this offense in the passing game. He has some skill in that regard. DeGuara did leave with an injury, so that's why Tucker Kraft saw more and more snaps. He was kind of already taking over for DeGuara anyways. A.J. Dillon had 4 catches for 32 yards. Musgrave had 4 for 28, so Musgrave still continues to be heavily involved in this offense, and he would have had more if Love hit him on that wide open wheel route. Watson finally scored. Only 2 catches on 4 targets for 21 yards, so still not a breakout game by Watson, but he had a really nice block on one of the Reed end arounds that went for the touchdown, and then of course that crosser route where he pretty much just ran right through the defense and away from the defenders and was wide open to the back of the end zone, and Jordan Love put an awesome touch on that ball, touch pass, back corner of the end zone for a touchdown. So overall, I was very impressed with this offense today in terms of its passing and the play calling. I just feel like they were way more in rhythm than we're used to seeing. This Packers offense, and a lot of their losses, it just seems like something's off. There's just like no continuity, where I felt the opposite today. It was in rhythm. The play calls were nice, and Jordan Love was firing the ball on his first read to the open guy quickly and accurately. As for the Packers defense, man, this would have looked a lot worse if the Chargers didn't shoot themselves in the foot multiple times. So Herbert, 21 of 36, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, and 99.3 rating. Pretty normal for Justin Herbert, but where he really beat the Green Bay Packers was on the ground, which is not something you would expect. Justin Herbert was the leading rusher of the Chargers, 8 carries for 73 yards, a 9.1 average. It seemed like every time the Packers had the Chargers receivers covered up, they had no contain on Herbert. He extended the play, then found a wide open receiver, or simply got out of the pocket and ran for a big gain. I mean, I feel like they had no answer for Justin Herbert's running, which is still wild to say. This Packers team always struggles with running quarterback, and Justin Herbert isn't even that, so that's definitely concerning. They kind of held Austin Eckler in check. He had a really good average, 10 carries for 64 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, but they just didn't run him enough. I think they should have more. Obviously, that fumble, highlights his day, but he was running well outside of that. He had a nice long of 20 or 37 yards, so that's, most of his yards there on 1 carry. The Packers shut down Joshua Kelly, 6 carries for 13 yards, 2.2 average. Overall, the Chargers didn't run as much as they probably should have. So the Packers only allowed 150 yards on the ground, and I say only, but a lot of that was Justin Herbert, and still a 6.3 average. So and if you include Herbert in that, which you should, the Packers' run defense still an issue. As for their pass defense, in the first half, they kind of contained Keenan Allen. Now, he did drop a pass on the goal line, and then, of course, later in that game, dropped a wide open touchdown in the middle of the end zone, something you would never expect from Keenan Allen. So again, that's another reason why the Packers got super lucky there. They had to settle for a field goal there rather than a touchdown. So, if that's a touchdown instead of a field goal, we're looking at a 24-23 end game and the Packers lose. So, and that's just one mistake that the Chargers made. There's many drops here and there. There's that fumble by Austin Eckler. The Chargers made so many mistakes. But Allen finished 10 for 116 and a touchdown, really started to heat up in that second half. And I feel like there was multiple times where the Packers just simply didn't have anyone near Keenan Allen. His one touchdown, the post route, John Owens, just an awful awful zone coverage in the back of the end zone there. Completely got flipped around, completely gave up the post. Keenan Allen was pretty much wide open in the end zone. Like, when you look at the Chargers, if you're the Packers defense and you're Joe Barry, your main concern is Keenan Allen. You got to cover Keenan Allen. And there's so many times this guy was wide open. It's so negligent to have no one around such a good wide receiver. It's just crazy to keep seeing. I know they were without Jair Alexander, and that's definitely part of the reason why, Keenan probably went for 116 yards, and he's an excellent wide receiver. Like, this guy does it against some of the best defenses. So, I kind of expected him to do this against the Packers, but I would at least like to see a defender near him when he's catching a touchdown or near him when he's dropping a touchdown. I mean, Keenan Allen was wide open so many times in this game through this Packers soft zone coverage. I mean, also that one touchdown to their tight end, Smart, wide open on a corner route, and then John Owen just makes an absolutely disgusting attempt at a tackle. So Packers tackling still remains an issue. Parham went 4 for 57. He also had a really bad drop on that first drive, but Parham also was wide open in the middle of the field pretty much every single third down. I feel like this Packers soft zone coverage just isn't it right now. Stone Smart went 1 for 51 and a touchdown. Quentin Johnston 2 for 21. Dropped that awful 9 route at the end of the game that he might have scored on. And we're probably looking at a complete different reaction video right now, but he just dropped it. I mean, this guy, really shaky start to his rookie season, especially being a first rounder, especially when you see guys like Reed, a second rounder, doing so well, Wicks, a fifth rounder, doing so well. It makes you feel a lot better about these Packers draft picks at wide receiver when Quentin Johnston went in the first round. I wanted to give a shout out to Carrington Valentine and Corey Ballantyne, the two starting cornerbacks of the Green Bay Packers today. It looks like Carrington Valentine is the real deal. This dude continues to show up in the absence of Jair Alexander after they traded Rasul Douglas and stepping up into the cornerback number 1 role, in the past few weeks and doing an excellent job at it, which is super impressive for a 7th round rookie. I think he is the real deal, and I think he still starts even when Eric Stokes comes back. Also, another shout out to Carl Brooks. I had to do it. Carl Brooks with an early sack in this game. This guy just continues to make plays. You know how high I am on Carl Brooks, and I just love to see him completely, blow through the Chargers right guard and get an easy sack early in this game. To wrap things up, the Packers special teams definitely an issue right now. We're starting to see the inconsistencies of Anders Carlson that we really didn't see early in the season. He was pretty, consistent, but now he's starting to have some issues and missing a field goal here in this game, missing a PAT, and the snap wasn't great. So, you got to look at the process overall and not just the kicker. But it's definitely a problem. I feel like this Packers special team isn't great. This unit isn't great. And last year it was an improvement with Bisaccia, but I feel like we definitely taken a step down now. We continually get penalties. We saw the Donald Levitt double penalty right first kickoff and back the Packers up inside their own 10-yard line. That's a problem. Continue to get penalties on special teams and then, miss PATs, miss field goals. It happens when you miss field goals, but man, you can't miss PATs out there. If the Chargers got down in field goal range, we're looking at an overtime game because of a missed PAT. Whereas otherwise they would have had to score. Luckily, the Packers stopped them. Quentin Johnston dropped a wide open ball. Justin Herbert fumbled a low snap because they had to use a third string center. So a lot of mistakes by the Chargers that made this game look a lot better and is why the Packers won. But that about does it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Definitely happy for a Packers win here. They moved to 4-6, but still concerning. A lot of things on this defense and some things on this offense in the running game. So, when you look at this game and all the mistakes that the Chargers made, you kind of have to put a little bit of an asterisk on this. But at the end of the day, the Packers still won the game. It's about what the scoreboard says when the clock's hit 0, and that was 23-20 Green Bay. But that about does it for this one. I appreciate you guys coming by. If you could leave a like down below, it supports my channel a ton. But I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.